Okay, so in this video for section 1.3, we're going to talk about something called simple random sampling. So our objective today is going to be to obtain a simple random sample. Random sampling is the process of using chance to select individuals from a population to be included in the sample. If convenience is used to obtain a sample, the results of the survey are meaningless. So if I wanted to know how many New Yorkers were Yankees fans and I went to a Yankees game and I stood outside Yankee Stadium and started asking people as they exited the stadium who is a Yankees fan, obviously most of the people are going to respond that they're a Yankees fan. So that wouldn't be a random sample, that would be convenience. So that wouldn't be a good pool to do any results from. A sample size n from a population of size n is obtained through simple random sampling. So if every possible sample of size n has an equally likely chance of occurring, then the sample is called a simple random sample. Okay, suppose you have a study group that consists of 5 students: Bob, Patricia, Mike, Jan, and Maria. List all of the students that may go to, 2 of the students must go to the board to demonstrate a homework problem. List all of the possible sample size of 2 without replacement. And you obviously can't have Bob and Bob go to the board at the same time, so that's what it means to not have replacement. So the next slide has the answers written out, but I'm just going to kind of give you an idea of how I would attack this problem just to keep your thoughts organized. I would first start with Bob, and just for time's sake or whatever, I'm just going to use the letter B to represent him. And then I go through my list and I would write down everyone that could be paired with Bob. So you could have Bob and Patricia, then Bob or Mike, then Bob or Jan, and then Bob and Maria. And then you've taken Bob out of the equation, and now the next letter that you'd start with was P. Again, Bob is already out of the equation because Patricia and Bob is the same thing as Bob and Patricia. So now you're going to do Patricia, Mike, Patricia, Jan, Patricia, Maria. Now Patricia's out of the equation, and then keep going. So in the end, here are all your different combinations. And again, just make sure that you have them written down somewhere on your note packet. So some steps for obtaining a simple random sample. The first thing you want to do is obtain a frame that lists the individuals in the population of interest, and you want to number the individuals in the frame from 1 to n. Okay, n is the number in the entire group. So if you had 100 people, you would have 1 to 100. If you had 30 people, you would have, the n would be 30, 1 through 30. And then 2, we're going to use a random number table, a graphing calculator, or some statistical software to randomly generate n numbers where n is the desired sample size. So the accounting firm of Sensei & Associates has grown. To make sure their clients are still satisfied with the services they are receiving, the company decides to send a survey out to a simple random sample of 5 of its 30 clients. So you can see in that table over to the right there that you have a list of the clients from 1 through 30. So step 1 is to put the clients in alphabetical order and number the clients from 1 through 30. So 1 through 30 is going to be your frame there. The next thing that we want to do is randomly select 5 numbers using a table of random numbers. First, you're going to pick a starting place by closing your eyes and placing your finger on that. That's going to be your starting point, and then you're going to continue to read down until you've reached the desired number of individuals in the sample. Skip those whose numbers in the population size n are repeating numbers for without replacement. So if the number 2 comes up twice, you can't use it twice because you're not going to send one survey to the same company 2 times. So that's what that part means. Okay, and here is your table of random numbers. It's Appendix A, Table 1. I'm always going to give you a copy of these tables. It's right in your note packet. But just keep in mind that anytime that you need a table, it's also in the back of your textbook, just so you know. Okay, so what happens here, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to randomly pick out a number. And let's say that's where my finger happened to land. Okay, so when I look at that number, all of these numbers are in the 10,000s range. Okay, that's not a number between 1 and 30, so how is this table even helpful to me? You're always going to look at the numbers to the right-hand side. So numbers 1 through 30, I can have a 1-digit number or I can have a 2-digit number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a maximum of the 2 digits to the right of that purple line that I just drew. So in other words, the 2 digits to the right of that purple line, and my line kind of went through one of the numbers, but it's a 31. 31 is bigger than 30, but the 1 isn't. So I'm going to send 1 to company number 1. Then I go down to the next number underneath that, and the last 2 digits are 48. Again, 48 is beyond that 30 number that's in our frame, but the number 8 is not. So 8's going to be my next one. Then I have 44. Again, 44 is outside my frame, so I'm just going to do the last digit of a 4. Underneath that, I have a 49. And again, I don't have 49 inside my frame, so I'll just do the last digit. And then my last one is going to be 62. And again, 62 would be outside of my frame, so I'm going to use just the last digit of 2. So I'm going to send 1 to company number 1, 8, 4, 9, and 2. A couple other things about this table, just again, because it didn't really happen. Let's say I came down to this number here that I boxed off. Your 2 numbers to the right are 18, and 18 is a number that's between 1 and 30. We happen to, by accident, get no 2-digit numbers there. But if I had my finger somewhere down here, then 18 would be in your frame, and you'd use 18. Again, let me just show one other thing. Let me change my color here. So you have red. So let's say you came down to this one, you have 35. Okay, again, 35 is outside the frame, so I'd use 5. And then underneath that, I have 8, 3, so I'd use 8. And again, let's say that red box is where I started. So now I only have 2 numbers. Well, where would I go after that? If that ever happens and you get to the bottom of one column, all you're going to do is go right up to the top of the next column to the right. And that's just how you use your random number table. And again, you're just going to match the generated random numbers to the corresponding clients. So see if I can do this. 1, 8, 4, 9, and 2. So I'm sending 1 to ABC Electric, Euro Car Care, Casey's Glass House, Farrell's Antiques, and Brazil Construction. Now, there's also a way to do it on the TI-84 graphing calculator. And again, you're going to create your frame, same as the table of random numbers. So in this case, your frame still, if we use that last example, would still be numbers 1 through 30. So your frame is numbers 1 through 30. And you're randomly going to select 5 numbers using the random number generator. And first, you're going to have to set something called a seed. The seed is an initial point for the generator to start creating random numbers. Kind of like when you slap your finger down on that last example, that's kind of your seed. It's your start point. So your calculator needs a start point. So you have to select a seed. Okay. It's like selecting the initial point in the random table. The seed can be any non-zero number, and then you're going to generate those numbers. So if my frame is 1 through 30, here's one thing that I definitely want to say about this. Your seed number does not need to be in 1 through 30. Your seed number can be any number that's not 0. So it could be 100, it could be 200, it could be 350. So your seed number doesn't need to be in the frame. It can be any number. Now, I do have a graphing app on my iPad, but for some reason it doesn't have all the full capabilities that the TI-84 does. It's an app called Calculate84. So I can't do this on the calculator and press the things to show you. But here is the steps in order to do it. And again, I know you can read them. Do it, try it. Again, if you need help in class, again, you can pause the video, try a couple times. Once you hit enter, it's going to give you a number. It's going to, if you're on the TI 83, it's going to give you one number at a time. On the TI 84, it'll give you a list of 5 numbers. If for some reason you get a repeating number in there, just hit enter a second time and it's going to give you a second group of 5 numbers. Or on the 83, just keep hitting enter until you get 5 different numbers. And again, once you get those 5 numbers, again, you'll come back to your list of your companies and again, take the numbers that correspond, and that's who you're sending it to. Okay, so there's some other ways that you can obtain a simple random sample. If you look at page 29 on your textbook, there's some ways that you could do. And inside Excel, you can also do a random number generator. And again, might be beneficial for you for our final project at the end of the year, which as the year goes on, obviously we'll talk up more about that. It's way too early in the year to start talking about that now. But just so you know, everything that you do now obviously is going to culminate with the end of the year. Okay. And that's it for today.